In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a of pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree-hugging, hippie, free-to-be, you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period. This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, happy Friday evening. That's right. We've made it through another one. So if you work the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday gig like I do and then work my tail off the rest of the time, hope the rest of y'all don't have to do that too. But anyway, we've made it to the weekend, and I think it's going to start becoming a Friday night ritual. Get paid to talk for a living. Somehow still cannot sometimes manage to pull it off. To have my guest and co-host with me this evening, you know him as... Well, I know him as Dan, and I never can say your Twitter handle, so I'm going to let you do it.
It's 1911G_fan.
I always forget where the underscore goes.
Just it's Cracker, which is a nickname I've had since high school. But I'm Dan. You can call me Dan Wright. That's my last name. I'm not trying to hide on Twitter. I just like to use my nickname.
Well, I am officially... Not really. Just kidding. All right. So anyway, for those of you who hung out with us last week, you already know a little bit about Dan. I'm probably not going to have him go through all of that again because hopefully by now, anybody who hasn't had a chance to listen to last week's episode, at least live, has found it in one of the plethora of podcast places it's available. One of the reasons we started doing this is because Dan and I are involved in a group that is working to try to see if we can actually change things. And some of us are involved in more than one project that way. This one is the one that is specifically looking at possibly creating another party. I'm looking at hopefully finding ways to start bringing some of those folks on the show once we get things a little more solidified over there. But it's now become more apparent to me than ever that the time for something new is 20 years ago. Not now. It should have happened 20 years ago. Because the simple fact of the matter is, you guys can call me tinfoil hat. You can say maybe I've had my hat on too tight for a while. I firmly believe at this point that we are being played by every political entity that exists in this country. And we're actually going to go into some details about that today. One of the biggest things that has made me start realizing that probably is true is the fact that Donald Trump keeps white knighting for Hillary Clinton. I don't care why you think he's doing it or what you think it's causing, what you think is actually causing it. The simple fact of the matter is, every time the media starts looking at her, even sideways, like, oh, did that really just happen? She's finally in the spotlight, and next thing you know, here comes Donald Trump to the rescue, saying you're doing something completely stupid. Go back and look, folks. It almost always only happens when people start talking about Hillary. Now, this means one of two things. Either Trump is so egocentric that he can't stand to have the media talk about anybody else, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to bring the spotlight back to him, or he's doing it on purpose. Both of those are plausible, so you make up your own mind. Anyway, good evening, Dan. Again, how are you?
I'm fine, and well, I'm not fine.
No, not really.
I'm not fine. I've been a libertarian since pretty much the beginning of the Libertarian Party, and today I officially and completely disavowed it. When the VP comes out and starts talking about how all rifles are weapons of mass destruction and uses terminology that shows that he has no understanding of what a rifle is, that's when I say, okay, I'm done with that now. Which I was on my way. I'll be honest, I was on my way. But when it comes to Trump, I said it the other night on the show I do on Wednesdays, that my real problem with what he said the other day about the Second Amendment was a threat. I don't think he meant it as a threat. I really don't. I mean, I'd like to think he's not that stupid, but he said, all of you 2A people, which tells me he's not one, because he would have said all of us 2A people. He is not for the Second Amendment. He never has been. He's stated it plenty of times over the years. He's in this for the money. It will be money. This is all over, and when he loses in November, and when his buddies, the Clintons, are in the White House again, he's already talking about starting his own TV network. He's already business planning. That's all this was. She's spending 6-1 on him on advertising right now. It's over, Johnny. It's freaking over. And the Trump supporters just won't grasp it. They won't. If they would have all just grasped it a month or two ago, we might have a chance for something else to beat Hillary. But they won't. They've drank the Kool-Aid. It's done. And Hillary is our next president, and we need to start working on something else.
It's funny
Was
that
I too blunt?
No. I just actually forgot I had muted myself to kill the background noise while you were talking. Okay, so it's funny that you mentioned the Never Trump, or not the Never Trump crowd, but the Trumpkins, because the interesting thing about the Trumpkins is no matter how many times they say things like, well, Rick, you should just listen to what he says. I'm like, should I listen to what he said 5 days ago or 5 minutes ago? Because they're not the same thing. Should I listen to what somebody who's put words in his mouth has put on his website, or should I listen to what he actually says? Or do I listen to what he says on TV, or do I listen to what he says at the rallies? Because they're two completely different things. Sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 completely different things. And the simple fact
and sometimes 2 different rallies in a day.
Exactly. And different things are said in each one. And that's been my point all along. It's like I was in a very long discussion with someone today on Twitter, and I kept trying to point out each time that they pointed out something that they said that Trump said that was a positive. I said, well, that's funny because that's not what he said in front of 60 million people on 60 Minutes when he said, and I quote, "This is a very un-Republican thing for me to say, but we're going to have to fix health care. Everyone has to be covered, and the government is going to have to pay for it." So when I pointed out that clip and even showed him where to find it, well, when he goes to the rallies, all he ever talks about is that the government's going to have to pay for the vets' health care. Well, that's great. That's fine. I've never had an issue with the government paying for vets' health care. They've earned that. Their health care is a right. It's not an entitlement. They earned it because they've been standing on the wall while the rest of us have been sleeping. As far as I'm concerned, and you can call me whatever you want to call me, as far as I'm concerned, a vet that has spent at least one full 4-year time in the military should not have to pay a house payment. They should not have to pay for medical care. They gave up at least 4 years of their life to make sure that we were safe. So they shouldn't have to worry about anything anymore. And if that's un-Republican, then fine. But that's not what he said. He said the government, because he kept being asked repeatedly, the government is going to have to pay for it, but it doesn't matter because we'll make so much more money on the back end that it'll be worth it. So he's talking about basically taking the label Obamacare, ripping it to shreds, relabeling it Trump care, and basically doing the same thing that we have now on a broader scale. But every time,
exactly.
But every time I turn around, all the Trumpers are like, "He's for smaller government." How's he going to be for smaller government when he wants to expand what Obama's already done?
He's not for smaller government. Almost everything he wants to do expands government. He has become the establishment, and I listen to his supporters all say, "Oh my God, you're just all for the establishment, or you're voting for Hillary, or whatever." I'm not voting for Hillary. I became, and there was no Never Trump hashtag, but I became Never Trump the day he announced he was running for president. I became Never Trump, and the reason I became Never Trump is because I've been Never Hillary since 1992. He is putting her in the White House right now. As we speak, he is putting Hillary in the White House, and it's like a Jonestown effect with these people. It's a cult of personality. They don't understand politics. They don't understand how it works. They really honestly think. I use 538 to look at polls. 538 basically takes every poll in every state, and they condense them, and they take an average. So you're getting an average of every single poll. And every single poll right now, according to 538, has Trump losing in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Utah, Arizona, Colorado. Getting real close in Texas, it's within the margin of error. And getting real close in about 3 or 4 other states, including Michigan. And I when I state that, they all go, polls don't mean anything. Polls meant a whole lot to them when Drudge was doing them and when Breitbart was doing them. But when a firm actually takes all of the different polls and compresses them and puts their poll out based on every single poll's compression, they don't buy it. Well, I buy it. I know what's going on, and we're going to see the Republican version of Mondale in November.
And the funny thing is unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, because at this point, does it honestly matter? Because people are asking us to pick between whether we're going to take a cyanide pill or take a shot of hemlock. Either way, we're going to wind up dead. So
exactly.
I'm not sure how this is supposed to work, because the thing that drives me nuts is the circular logic of if you don't vote for one, then you're automatically voting for the other. And I mean, I understand where they got that, because anytime there's been a prominent third party run in the country, like Ross Perot, it is destabilized a few things, and I understand that. But what people need to understand at this point is there is absolutely no difference between the two main parties. And going back to what you've said today, and it's interesting that this has come to light, because I was using an analogy the other day, and I'm sure you remember, because it was going all over Twitter and everybody was telling me I was crazy and that it was owned by one brand or the other. Truth is, because I was talking about if I buy Dr. Pepper, I'm not supporting either Coke or Pepsi. The truth is, that's true. But what I didn't realize until I really started looking at it is, yes, Dr. Pepper is its own brand, but it's very intertangled into both of them.
Dr. Pepper is the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, but in certain areas, because Dr. Pepper and the Snapple Company don't own a lot of bottling plants, in some regions of the country, they use Pepsi plants to bottle their products. In other regions of the country, they use Coke plants to bottle their products, and Coke actually handles their worldwide distribution and marketing. So no, they're not owned by anyone other than Snapple, but they have themselves completely intertwined in both parties. Or, I'm sorry, both other brands. But you see where I'm about to go with this, because this announcement proved to me today that analogy was actually a lot more, shall we say, clairvoyant than I expected, because it kind of proves to me that all three of the parties are intertwined, intermingled, and enmeshed, and all each of them is really looking to do is to get a bigger share of either the scraps or a better seat at the table, and none of them really give a damn about any of us.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that kind of kills me is in talking to people with what you and I and many people are wanting to do is the odds are so stacked with the way the system works against, you and me saying, okay, we don't want Coke, we don't want Pepsi, we don't want Dr. Pepper. We're going to start our own brand. The odds are seriously stacked, just like they would be in business, because to start a new party, if you want that party recognized in most states, you have to run somebody for governor, and you have to have a presidential candidate, and they have to poll at a certain percentage. So you can't just, until you get that percentage, you're not going to get on a ballot. I think that's wrong. I think if you want to put somebody on a ballot, I'm not saying there shouldn't be certain things, but if you want to have a presidential candidate on a ballot in a state, you have to run a governor too. So now that party has to find somebody willing to run for governor in that state. It's the odds are, I mean, everything is stacked against, and it's the Republican Party, it's the Democrat Party, it's both of them. And I watched this a little bit with the Libertarian Party, and the Libertarian Party did a pretty good job of getting themselves fairly recognized. But it's hard. It's extremely hard to do. And they make it hard to do because that's where both parties work together. They don't want anybody else. It's a good old boys club. If you go look at, I lived in D.C. I mean, you go out and eat lunch, and you're in a place eating lunch. There's plenty of Democrat senators and Republican senators sitting there having lunch and drinking a beer together and laughing and being friends. It is a good old boys party or good old boys club. I mean, that's what it is. They don't want anybody else in there. They're both parties are just running the country. They'll act like they hate each other, but they don't hate each other. it's all a game. It really is to them. It's a game. When they're sitting in there and they're going back and forth on the floor, they enjoy that. It's a game, and there's no term limits. They know as long as they can get put back in there, they're going to be there with their buddies. It needs to change.
Well, I mean, just to clarify one point, I'm actually okay with the fact that they really don't hate each other. What I'm not okay with is, one, they pretend to hate each other because it boosts their credibility, which they used to at least attempt to hide for the most part. What I don't like is that everyone has become so ensconced in our own belief systems that we're not willing to work with anyone anymore unless they believe 100% of what we believe. I don't understand how we as a country can continue to operate in that manner. I mean, I understand that there are things that are not compromisable. The Constitution is not something I'm willing to compromise on. Any of the Bill of Rights, not compromising there. They're there for a reason. Our founding fathers were very intelligent people, but the rest of it, as far as I'm concerned, should be negotiable. What we need is a president and a Congress and a Supreme Court that is going to stick to the letter of the Constitution and make sure that they are doing what they need to do to make sure that they're working within their bounds. The problem is this has all become about power, and it's all become a farce. None of it is legitimate anymore. The fact that they pretend to not get along, I mean, think about this logically for just a second. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump's daughters are friends. Bill and Donald talked before Donald ran for president. Donald Trump has complimented Hillary Clinton up until he decided to run for president and realized he finally had a chance at the nomination. Said that she was the best Secretary of State ever. Was going to be a great Secretary of State before she ever got the job. Was a wonderful senator, a great person. Now it's crooked Hillary. That's my point. These people are going at each other like they can't stand one another, when you know as soon as the cameras are off of them, they're probably hugging, smiling. I mean, how many pictures have we seen with Donald Trump smiling from ear to ear, standing next to Hillary Clinton with his arm around her? The dude might as well have an "I'm with her" T-shirt on. I mean, it really is that simple.
I hear the phone conversations. You called me crooked Hillary again. That's hilarious. I do. You, like you said earlier, tinfoil hat. Maybe I'm putting it on, but there's something. It's cronyism all across the board between the Republicans and the Democrats. It's all cronyism. They want their buddies there to play the game with.
Do you know what it honestly is? It's the one thing that our founding fathers told us they never wanted us to have. We have managed to create our own aristocracy.
Yes. That's you. Yeah, exactly. Which is cronyism. Aristocracy is cronyism. They may not totally agree on stuff, but they're all up there. There's exceptions to the rule, and some people disagree with me on it. I mean, Ted Cruz is an exception to the rule. I wasn't a Cruz supporter, but I do respect Ted Cruz. I mean, Ted Cruz stands his ground. He's been a good conservative voice, and Rand Paul. I mean, he we said, oh, Rand supporting Trump. He's not really supporting Trump. He's doing kind of what he has to do. I mean, have you really heard him come out and say, yes, I endorse Donald Trump? No. But if you want two people, Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, in the Senate that would stand up and say, no, I'm not voting for that, those are the two right there. There's some others, but those are the two that stand out to me. And they're caught in the middle. I mean, they're really caught in the middle. And you've got this two-party system that, these guys, they want to keep their job. They want to keep their job. You know what I'm saying? But they're the two that will speak out a little bit.
I'm not calling it the two-party system anymore. I'm going to start calling it the faux party system.
Kind of like that.
Because it's all a farce. You know, and call me whatever names you want. You're not going to dissuade me from that at this point, because the simple fact of the matter is, again, if you go back and look at every single time Donald Trump has stuck his foot so far in his mouth that the sole of his shoe is coming out his rear end. If you line them up, almost every single time that happened, there was a breaking story about another candidate, whether it was somebody on our side of the aisle or theirs. So again, he's either running interference, or he's egotistical and narcissistic, which we already know is true, or possibly both. And he doesn't. And this is the scary thing with Donald. He's had all of this experience with reality TV. He understands that with the way the American people's mind works today, there's no such thing as bad publicity. There's not. If there were, people like Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham would be out of work today.
Oh, you're right. Except for, you know what? At the moment, we're learning that there is such a thing as bad publicity. We're learning that. And we should have learned it years ago, but there is, because every time she does something that should be bad publicity for her, he steps in it, does something, and it ends up being bad publicity for him. That's something everybody needs to think about. You know, and, you know, he is a guy that, by all standards, you and I should be behind. You know, we're Republicans, conservatives, whatever you want to call us. I don't know. We won't, because he does what he does, and he steps in it every time. Every time he's handed a gift, he takes that gift, he throws it on the floor, he sets it on fire, and he stomps on it.
And then he goes and plays with the box that came in.
I knew that was going to happen.
All right, well, believe it or not, we've already hit the bottom of the hour, so we've got to take a really quick break, pay some bills. When I come back, this is the Friday night edition of the America Off the Rails show with Rick and Dan, and we'll be right back here in just a couple minutes after we hopefully pay some bills. Speaking of paying bills, because I always forget to do this now. Look, folks, we do have advertisers, and we are trying to transition to being fully funded by advertising. We haven't gotten there yet, so we are still largely listener supported. If you like what we do here, and I know you guys do, because we get like hundreds of thousands of plays a week in all the different places that we are, so I know you're listening. I don't care if it's 50 cents. I don't care if it's $1. There's a donate link on the KLRNradio.com website. Go click donate. Give us $1 just once in a while. Something to show us that you appreciate what we do, because we appreciate having you listen, and we're trying to make sure that we get to hang around for a while, especially so that maybe there are some sane voices still left when all of this stuff blows up in everybody else's faces, because it's headed that way. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree-hugging, hippie, free-to-be, you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network. Radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live, already into the bottom half of the hour. My, oh my, where does the time go? And I want to give a shout-out. I'm going to butcher your name, so I'm not even going to try to attempt it. Been getting communication from one of the chat rooms. Hope there are some folks. I saw Ron hanging out over in the KLRN radio chat. Also have somebody in the Spreaker chat who was picking on me because I got tongue-tied trying to say the name of the radio station I own. Yeah, that's how Friday nights roll. The guy who owns the joint can't even remember the name that it's called. But in all fairness, up until about a week and a half ago, I was working for a different station. So I'm surprised I haven't said their name more than I have. So, but anyway, so we're back. We're still live, and yes, it's Friday, so it's basically a train wreck. But I have Dan here to help me make sure that nobody falls asleep.
I'm trying.
That's what happened. I said nobody falls asleep. He was actually sleeping the whole time I was talking. He was like, "Oh wait, it's my turn."
Oh no, I'm here.
No, I'm just messing with you. I just know under your setup, it's pretty easy to know when your co-host wants you to talk because you get a little whisper in your ear that says, "Hey, you can talk now."
The radio partner I do the show with on Wednesdays, he's a excellent producer on top of being a good radio host. And yes, he's very good with the mute button. And as you know, with Blog Talk, it lets you know when you're muted and when you're unmuted. And we had a guest on Wednesday, and he threw it to me. He had to take a phone call, and her and I had much more in common than he did with her. So he basically muted me, muted himself while she was talking, and said, "Hey, you're taking this from here. I'm taking a phone call because I have no idea what's going on." And then he just unmuted me and threw me to it.
That's usually how it goes, though. Actually, I'm pretty familiar with Blog Talk. We actually started over there. Actually, believe it or not, I think they still have our archives over there. You can actually go back and hear the first train wreck that me and my co-host Dave Brown did. And the funny thing is, it was like the worst thing ever. We did it for an hour, and over 3,000 people listened in the first week. And I was like, that really sucked, and that many people listened? Wow. But dude, no, I'm not kidding. It was so bad that we actually made fun of ourselves the next week. Because it was the first time that I had ever done anything like that. And instead of... Because you can tell, sometimes when I get excited, I still talk a little too fast. But I've learned to moderate it better. That first show, I was completely nervous. And I mean, I was literally like... Blah, 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 blah. So the next week, I was like, hey, for those of you who caught last week's show, I sounded a little bit like this. And then my cousin, who was actually producing for us at the time, ran a clip of Speedy Gonzalez. And then Dave, the whole previous week, when he was talking, it literally sounded like, "Luke, I'm your father." So so the whole that he's like, and I sounded a lot like this, and all of a sudden you heard Darth Vader, and that one got hit like 5,000 times. And then something happened with that account; it got hacked. We wound up having to shut it down, so we rebranded and started another one. Then we got featured status over there like the third week we were there, and then by then we were getting like hundreds of thousands of hits a week, and that's when we were like, okay, actually we must kind of have something. And then the next thing you know, we figured out that there were cheaper ways to get it done and better quality, so that's kind of how a lot of the shows that didn't have guests, didn't have callers, didn't have co-hosts started migrating over here to Spreaker, and then I kind of took the whole thing apart, put it back together, and figured out how to do all the things that they then 2.5 years later built an app for, and now I don't need to do all of this crap, but I prefer my setup to their app, so I still use it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Jason's been using Blog Talk for like 6 or 7 years, and he has it down, and he's got a pretty good setup in his house. He's got a pretty good studio setup, and we work it pretty good on Blog Talk. And it seems to be working for us, except for the Skype thing. Like right now, I'm talking to you on Skype.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time, if I hop on Skype first and then Jason tries to, it kicks one of us off. That's been our problem over there. But we're working that out. I usually end up just on the phone, but the sound quality's been pretty good, so we just leave it like that. But I don't know. We may make a change. It's funny because like we did a show Jason Skyped in. I tried to Skype in. It kicked me out. I got on the phone, and then Ben House Skyped in, and it let him. And we're like, what's going on? There's some hinky stuff over there. It's worked for us. Who knows? We'll stick with it. We won't. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens.
Now, are they still restricting to one show a day?
I think they are, but they've been pretty good about. Jason and I have had a couple times where he actually called me a little while before we went on the air and asked if I wanted to do a show tonight. He totally forgot I was doing a show with you. And I was like, no, I'm doing a show with Rick. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. But they've been pretty good about opening spots at other times during the week other than when you're typically scheduled. We've done a couple Saturday shows that have been really good. We did one that was excellent. I mean, we did it on basically how not to get suspended by Trump bots on Twitter. and we got really good response from it. It was kind of a fun show. But we're pretty much restricted. We do a 2-hour show, and then we have the option for a 3rd hour taped. So most of our shows are about 2.5 hours. We'll go over and we just tape it. So when we put the podcast up, the extra half hour's on there. But if you're in the chat room, you've got the show the whole time. So that's kind of cool.
Wait, so it's the folks that were listening, that are listening in the chat, actually get to keep listening even when it goes into podcast mode now?
Correct. Yeah.
See, that's new. It didn't used to do that.
Yeah, and I don't know. It has its pluses and minuses. Like I said, I just call now. I don't even try to Skype, which kind of hurts my sound quality. But I don't know, because I mean, we've had times where it's like 30 seconds before we go on the air and one of us gets kicked off. That doesn't help when you've got, Dude. You're about 30 seconds to the show opener ending, and one of the hosts gets kicked off the air. That kind of sucks.
Oh yeah, well, one of the reasons we finally gave up and left BTR, because everything that we used to run when we first started was on BTR, because we had the original 5 folks. A lot of them are still with me off and on now. None of the original crew is really doing full-time radio anymore. But when we only had like the 5 folks, it worked out well, because you could do up to one show. You could do one show a day with the package we had. I think it's the same one you guys are using for up to the 2 hours. But the thing that would drive me nuts is because there were times because Finding Common Ground, contrary to popular belief, was actually the show that started it all. Everybody thinks it was America Off the Rails. But when I started it, I actually started it with a co-host show. But it was a co-host with a liberal. So after about 3 months of doing that, I was like, F this, I need to have somewhere to vent after I have this guy making my ears want to bleed. So that's where America Off the Rails was born. But I digress a little bit. What used to drive me nuts is we would get, because, with Blog Talk, when I used Blog Talk, they didn't have the Go Live Now feature. You had to have everything completely scheduled out. So we would actually schedule everything out, have the episodes basically ready to go, and then just edit in when we did the show prep the few days before. We would put all the information in the show, but it would already be scheduled. So we would get up early Saturday morning, back then it was Tuesdays and Fridays. And at the time on Fridays, we would get ready to go live, get logged in, get ready to hit the button with Blog Talk, and all of a sudden it would say, your next show is not scheduled for 23 years. I'm like, what? It would literally say your next show is not scheduled for 23 years, 29 days, 27 minutes, and 3 seconds. I'm like, huh? And back then there was no Go Live Now button. You didn't have that option. So if your scheduled show wouldn't let you on, you were done. That was it. And you were locked out for that. And sometimes you could send them a thing and they'd have it fixed in like a half an hour. And then other times it'd be like, well, we're experiencing higher than usual volume, blah, 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 network not handling, blah, 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 overload, blah. And by 3 sentences into the email I'm reading, and I'm hearing Charlie Brown's parents in my head. Because all I knew was I had people that were, guests coming on, etc. And I'm like, sorry guys. And that's when I started.
And then they're saying, and here's your bill.
Pretty much. See, you know what? That happened to us like 5 different times. Not once did they ever offer a credit. What they did was say, well, we can make sure that you have a block of time open, say this time next week, and we'll actually let you do 2 shows on that day since we messed you up on this one. Like, no. See,
right, well, that's not when I do my show.
Pretty much. And I'm like, no, see, you don't understand. I work for a living, too, so I can't just do a show at 3 o'clock in the morning because you decided to give me an extra block of time. Who the... Yeah. I'm not going to be able to compete with Coast to Coast AM.
I think they have that stuff worked out because we haven't had a problem with that. And like I've said, Jason has gone on there and said, okay, cool, you got an opening, and we just do an off the cuff show out of the blue on a Saturday, and go live with it. I think they've got that worked out, but there's still.
Well, yeah, they added.
He's comfortable with it. He's been dealing with them for 6 years, so he handles that end of it. He produces. All I do is pick up my phone and call and talk. I'm really not. I'm not handling the end of it that you and Jason did.
No, yeah, I understand. But yeah, they added the Go Live feature probably about 3 months before we left. But the thing, well, at least as far as I remember, as long as you hadn't used your 2 hours for that day, you could put it on pretty much anywhere you wanted to put it on. Now, you could always ask them if they had any open time available, if they would be willing to give you an extra slot. But we started doing that so much that they were like, you should probably look at one of these white glove packages that we offer, and then you can do 6 hours of radio a day and do this and do that, and it's only $4,000 a month. No thanks.
Yeah. No, you're doing good, man. You're doing good. It's, we do our one show a week. Occasionally we throw another show up. You're handling way more than just your show. All we worry about is our show. That's it.
I actually kind of
worry about lots of shows.
I actually kind of miss those days. I'm not even kidding. I love how far we've gotten, and I love the people that I've gotten to know along the way, and I really love even some of the folks that I used to work with and do radio with that have now gone on to do bigger and better things and won't come on my show. And you know who I'm talking to. Yes, I know you listen. You know who you are. No, I'm just playing. Anyway, I'm referring.
I love the people you work with too.
Well, yeah, you've probably known a lot of them longer than I have, because I really didn't start getting to know any of these folks until I started moving over to things like Spreaker and realized that I was going to have the freedom to technically run a 24-hour-a-day radio station if I wanted to. And then we figured out how to get a server kind of intermixed with it, so we literally have content coming in from all over the country now. It amazes me to stop and think that we literally have hosts from one corner of the country to the other for something that started off as small as this has. And we work hard to bring in good content, and I don't regulate what they say or how they say it, and there are folks on the station that completely disagree with me. There are folks on the station that get along with me, and we even have a liberal from time to time when they can manage to hang around long enough, because it's really hard for a liberal to work with a bunch of conservatives.
Hey, but you know what? That's the way it needs to be. I lived in Washington, D.C., where talk radio in Washington, D.C. was, you could have, boom, you got Hannity and Limbaugh, and then all of a sudden, after Limbaugh, or Limbaugh and Hannity, and then after Hannity ends, you've got a liberal dude on there. That's talk radio in D.C. That's the way I think talk radio should be. And I listened to all of them. I didn't just, I wasn't just a rah, rah, rah. I'm just going to listen to Hannity, and I'm just going to listen to Limbaugh, and I'm just going to listen to Ingram. I listen to all of them. I listen to the liberals too. That's the way everybody should be listening to talk radio, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, and it's not just talk radio that should be that way, because let's be completely clear. Yes, the majority of my beliefs are conservative. Yes, I do lean right in my beliefs, but I'm also a firm believer in an old saying that my grandfather swore was an Indian saying but never showed me any proof. Whether it's the right wing or the left wing, it's all part of the same bird.
Exactly.
Can't have two right wings or you fly in a circle. Can't have two left wings or you fly in a circle. Problem is, right now we seem to have three left wings.
Yeah.
So what are we, like one of those, remember The Simpsons with the three-eyed fish? So is our political party like a radioactive chicken from Springfield?
What political party? I don't have one.
Well, no, the single party that exists for the country now with three different wings all on the left side.
Yeah, it's...
As you can tell, I am legitimately disgusted, which is why we spent the last half of the show talking about anything but politics, because I really kind of started feeling like my head was going to explode.
Well, I mean, you and I talked about it during the day today. Basically, I mean, it's there. You've got the Libertarian Party that has two liberals. You have the Republican Party that has a New York Democrat pretending he's a Republican. And then you have the Democratic Party who is running Hillary Clinton. And I don't even know what to call her other than probably
convict.
Just a criminal.
Convict. That's what she should be. Come here, convict. No, I mean, dude, I don't know. It's too long, but I've got to come up with a new name for the Libertarian Party. I was kind of thinking of calling them the Liberty for Me, but No Guns for Thee Party, but that's too long.
When you have a party that had somebody like Austin Peterson running, and he's not the nominee, there's a problem, because he stands for everything that the Libertarian Party is supposed to be.
But see, here's the thing, and this I've actually gotten from multiple sources, including the top of the party. They didn't like him.
But why? Why didn't they like him? He's everything they're supposed to stand for.
But here's the thing. They don't, and again, this is going back to what we found out today the hard way, they don't actually stand for those things. Do you know what their logic was behind all of that? They knew that they would have conservatives that were going to be looking for somewhere to call home because of how bad the election had been with Trump. They knew there were people that were going to leave the party. They're seeing it happen in droves. Nick Sarwark and I were talking about it the last time he was on my show. Right after the RNC, three local Republicans in 3 different states changed their party affiliation immediately to Libertarian. But the thing with that is the Libertarian leadership, or in their case, their version of the establishment, saw all of these onrush of conservatives, an onrush of fully conservative values as a threat, because they are more socially liberal and fiscally conservative, which is why they have someone who is advocating gun control and calling for a smaller party at the same time, which is an oxymoron, or smaller government at the same time, which is an oxymoron. The simple fact of the matter is they didn't want Austin Peterson Austin Peters. God, I'm such an Oklahoman. Anytime I ever try to say the name Peters, it comes out Peterson because of Adrian Peterson. And I actually called him Adrian Peters with Sarwark on the air too. He kind of ribbed me about that after the show was over. But anyway, so the thing with that is they don't want us, and that was apparent because the thing is there was a small group of libertarians that were like, we really should go ahead and nominate Peters because he will actually bring us all together and bring a lot of the conservatives in here, which will help us get a voice. The establishment of that party said we don't need to do that. We don't need to forego our own values to bring in more people, because the simple fact of the matter is, even if they did what they say they're trying to do, which is build another party, they're not going to have time to get it done. So we don't have to do that. We're going to put up the candidates that we want to put up, and they can either come over here and help us, or they can not. And that's basically exactly what everyone was told. Is we're
and you know, Peterson's done a good job of doing what he should have done, and that's get behind the nominee, like has happened in the Republican Party and like has happened in the Democrat Party. But in the meantime, he's meeting with Ted Cruz in the background. And that tells me he's done too. I really think he is. And if you look, he and I follow each other on Twitter. If you look at his timeline, he has spent a lot of his personal time and money on the Libertarian Party. And he'll sit there at this point. To him, Johnson is still better than Hillary or Trump. But in the meantime, he's working stuff in the background. He knows it's over. He knows it's done. He's talking Ted Cruz. They're having meetings. They're talking about how to bring a party together. I mean, that's got to be the only reason why Ted Cruz and Austin Peterson are meeting with each other. You know, I mean, that has to be the only reason.
No, and I've heard a lot of the same rumblings that you are about that, and it wouldn't surprise me at this point, because, again, it's like I don't remember if we said this on air or off, but there are a lot of publications that used to be fairly liberal that are starting to move more center, and it's because they've seen the visceral reactions the American public have had this election cycle to the extremes of everything, and to the fact that we've watched one party basically co-opt the other. I mean, we've talked about the GOP basically being Democrat light now for about the last 15, 16 years. If anything, they're not light anymore. They're just Democrats wearing red ties.
Oh yeah, it's, you know, they're even down to online publications like, I mean, pretty much all the liberal publications, they're all trying to move more centrist. It's like, I don't know. They're seeing that maybe the non-Trump Republicans are maybe more willing to listen to stuff, but the media sites, other than Drudge and Breitbart, who are extremely right, the other ones that are kind of left are moving centrist, and the other ones that are kind of right are moving centrist. I mean, including like the Resurgent. I mean, the Resurgent is there. It's, people say, well, the Resurgent is just never Trump. It's not never Trump. It's a site that, with writers that are, some of them are very conservative, some of them are kind of libertarian, some of them maybe even push a little bit more left, but it's a site that you can get news from that's not all anti-right, and it's not all anti-left. It's kind of in the middle. And I think Eric Erickson's done a good job with that, putting together writers that that will bring, everybody just says it's anti-Trump. Well, maybe it is a bit anti-Trump, but you won't get that from Eric. Eric won't just come right out and say that. He goes on Fox. He's not just completely anti-Trump, but it's a site that you can. Breitbart is just, I don't know. I'm rambling now because that just destroys me, because I loved Breitbart and I loved Andrew Breitbart, and I loved what he built, and it's destroyed now.
And see that's the thing. You've actually probably been connected to this stuff a lot longer than I have been, because when I finally started really getting to know folks and getting to start moving into some of these same circles, by the time I came really onto the scene, Breitbart had already passed. So I never got a chance to really get to know Andrew, but I talked to people all the time that know him, that knew who he was, knew what he stood for. And I'm a firm believer, after talking to a lot of those folks, that, and I've said this before, that if he could do it, he would probably be haunting these mother effers in their sleep.
Oh, he would be. The reason I liked Breitbart was the reason the things I've said about media tonight is Breitbart was always fair. It was always a fair reporting. I mean, you look at people that wrote for him, there were some people that were very right. There were some people that were very left. Well, there weren't any people that were very left. There were some people that were very right, and there were some people that were very centrist. You always got at least a centrist view. There wasn't much left writing there, but Andrew was always very fair. He was a very fair guy, and he liked all points of view. And now Breitbart is essentially essentially an alt-right publication along with Drudge. Drudge did a good job. He did a good job of building something off of nothing by himself as a dude, just a dude building something. And now it's all alt-right. It's all Trump. It's sad. I'm not as sad for Drudge as I am for Breitbart, because I know Andrew is rolling over in his grave right now, looking at what happened to his little empire he built. Because he did. He built that himself, and I loved it, and now I can't stand it. I don't want anything to do with it.
I mean, well, at this point, I would say he's probably closer to spinning like a fan in his grave rather than rolling over. But but I mean, look at it though. This isn't just happened in one place. The alt-right was something that I legitimately had thought that we had pretty much been able to do away with in this country, and I think we might have been, if not for the rise of folks like Black Lives Matter. I don't know if I've played the clip for you before, but I actually found audio at one of the Black Lives Matter rallies where they were going to do the group protests, when they were organizing everything. This little black woman on a bullhorn standing on a bunch of crates, or maybe it was one big stage crate or something, was shouting that all the black people needed to come to the front and all the white people needed to go to the back, and that includes the media. I never in a million years thought that I would live in a time where all of these people that had seen everything that their ancestors had to fight through to get the type of freedoms that they enjoy would start actively trying to seek to take them away from someone else, while also screaming that even though they themselves had never had any type of slavery or endured any type of slavery, started screaming for reparations.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could do a whole show on that. I think I've mentioned it to you before. I was very involved with stuff in Ferguson on social media, and you and I have a mutual friend, and he and I were in a little thread the other day about the argument on where Black Lives Matter really hit the map, and it was Ferguson. Yeah, it was the whole Zimmerman thing where it started, but it really hit the map in Ferguson. And we actually had arguments over that, but the whole Ferguson thing was crazy. I was heavily involved with that. And it's the reason why I was, and I tried to explain to people, I'd get called a racist. I'm like, I'm not a racist. This is what it is. You're burning your freaking town down because a black kid attacked a cop and the cop shot him. Now you're burning your own town down. What is that proving? Well, it's proving that Black Lives Matter. Is it really? You just burned your town down. And it's the whole, everything right now is just, you've got extreme left, you've got extreme right, and then you've got a few of us here in the middle. And that's where you and I are. We're in the middle. I sympathize a little bit to Black Lives Matter to a point. When it comes down to invoking racism and killing cops in the other direction, then I have a problem with it. I sympathize a little. But I sympathize because I see what the Democrats have done to fuel it. And that's what they do. They fuel it because they need it. They want it. That's what, like I said, we could do another whole show on this.
Well, technically, we kind of are doing a whole nother show because I let us run long.
Yeah, we're over, aren't we?
Yeah, but that's all right. It's Friday night. The guy that usually sends me a file at the midnight hour Eastern didn't send me one tonight anyway, so I didn't figure it would hurt for us to go long for a few minutes. Actually, one last thing, and then we'll actually finally wrap up. I did have a couple things queued up that I wanted to get your reaction for. They're pretty short, so I'm going to let these run. I just kind of want to hear what you think. I used this whole thing last night, but I kind of broke it up in pieces because it made it a little easier.
I'm the only one on the stage that said we should not go into Iraq.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
I'm very pro-life.
I'm very pro-choice.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
There has to be some form of punishment. I am pro-choice in every respect.
I'm telling you, he's a walking contradiction in terms.
He's a piece of work, and listening to the people defend him, I'm just like, I had it today. You had it today. We all had it today on social media. It's these people defending him are it's Kool-Aid. It's Jonestown. No matter what he says, it's not wrong. And that's a problem. That is Germany in 1936. That's the problem. No matter what he says, it's not wrong. We need to follow. We need to go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he said. We're behind him. We'll make an excuse for what he said. We'll make an excuse. We're behind him.
And the interesting thing about it is if you listen to them, they're the first ones that say, well, you need to just listen to what he says. Really? Because right. I can show you things like that. And even this.
Donald, true or false, you've said the government should pay for everyone's health care?
That's false.
You've never said that.
Everybody's got to be covered.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody.
Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
He said I was in favor of Libya. I never discussed that subject. I was in favor of Libya. We would be so much better off if Gaddafi were in charge right now. Gaddafi in Libya is killing thousands of people. We should go in. We should stop this guy, which would be very easy and very quick. Stop him from doing it and save these lives.
So again, folks, which Donald am I supposed to listen to? Just curious.
Hey, you know what you and I need to do? Do what we tried about, 2 months ago? And let's have a Trumpkin call into the show night.
Hey, actually, we can call them out repeatedly from now on. Now that you're with me pretty much every Friday, we can just be like, hey, the lines are open. Call and explain.
Yes, we need an explanation. Here you go. Here's a sound bite. We would like we could do it. We could do the weekly sound bite. Just both put it out on our timelines. Here's the weekly sound bite. We'll be on the air Friday night. Here's the phone number.
Dude, that is actually a wonderful idea. We've got to make this happen. All right, folks, I have kept him longer than I said I was gonna, and I know he's probably got other things he wants to do. Now, this part will not be going to the affiliates because we have ran over our scheduled time there. So right now we only have the few faithful who tune in to us live here. So on the way out, I want to show you a sneak peek of something I've been working on. It's not finished yet, but we have a new intro coming soon, and I just want to give you the overall flavor of it on the way out the door. Have a great night, folks. I'll be back with you live tomorrow morning for Finding Common Ground. Don't forget to stay tuned afterwards. Even if you're not a liberal, I promise you're going to want to stay tuned for the Opinion Nation show because Bryce Robbins has presidential candidate Jill Stein on with him tomorrow morning. That is beginning at 10 Eastern tomorrow. That's right, folks. I do this stuff about 20 hours a week, live, producing, recorded, etc., and about 80 hours worth of work behind the scenes that you never see. But anyway, I'm on my way out the door. Just want to give you a taste. I'll be back with you guys live Monday, and don't forget to check us out tomorrow.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
This is always the killer, the one that just destroys that never Trump argument. Hillary Clinton will fill the Supreme Court with liberals. She'll also appoint federal judges with a liberal bent to them.
Don't let anybody tell you that it's corporations and businesses that create jobs. You know, that old theory, trickle-down economics, that has been tried, that has failed.
Arrogant, sanctimonious, self-righteous, sabotaging Trump.
Compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move. It is your duty to plant yourself like a tree